Welcome back. Very happy to have our next guest on the line, Lipscomb Academy head coach Trent Dilfer, of course, the Elite 11 head coach, been such a massive part of that, so critical to the development of so many young quarterbacks across high school, college, and the NFL. I was fortunate to get to go out to the Elite 11 regional yesterday at Lipscomb Academy and see that kind of take place for the first time. Trent, I appreciate you stopping by, boss.
I'm glad you had me, Buck. Do you wear some sunscreen yesterday? Because I got fried.
Buddy, I have never been so raw in my life. I did steeplechase and Titans practice on Saturday, was adequately, sunscreened. And then I did not prepare enough for Sunday.
I can tell.
On the turf because I am bright red in this studio, man.
My wife and daughters were killing me last night on my farmer's burn, they called it.
Yeah, there's not much color there yet, but perhaps in the next couple of days that'll even out a little bit for us. Trent, I want to talk about Elite 11 here in just a second, but obviously you guys have a busy week or weekend bleeding into this week with the first annual college showcase taking place today at Lipscomb. What can you tell us about this situation?
Yeah, we're really excited. It was a brainchild of my defense coordinator, Sione Tafoa. He saw Bosco. We think we're the second team that's done this in the country. John Bosco out of Southern California has done this for a few years, where you get so much recruiting traffic, and it's hard for coaches to plan the recruiting schedules when they're out on the road. Especially, a lot of the guys have Middle Tennessee, also have North Georgia, also have South Kentucky. They have a large area to cover. So we want to make it easier for them. We've had 65 coaches come in already. We've had over 100 offers to our kids. But tonight it kind of culminates with what I would call a NFL Pro Day meets SEC spring game at the high school level. So we'll get accurate measurements for all of our kids, height, weight, hand size, wingspan, all the measurables that the colleges want to see. And now they know they're verified. We'll move them in movement stations. So think short shuttle, 40, 10s, bounding, one-legged stuff. So they get to see their movement qualities. And then we'll go and have our final spring practice of the year. We'll go through it in complete individual session, group session, and then with the team session. So we're guessing we've had about 35 RSVPs. We think we have about 50 other techs of coaches that are trying to get here. So we'll have 50 to 75 college programs represented. Our kids are excited. They worked really hard for this. And now the colleges get to see them, up close and personal, and verified movements and verified measurables and how they compete at a high level in a practice situation.
I can't imagine how hyped the college coaches are about that. That seems like an incredible asset that you guys are presenting them with, given that, as you mentioned, that there doesn't seem to be many other high schools around the country doing something like this.
Well, I think they're more excited for the free food we're going to give them.
Well, sure. So. Hey, I work in media now for about 7 years, Trent. Free food is my love language. I completely understand that.
Exactly. And we'd love to bring this to Middle Tennessee. This isn't just for Lipscomb kids. Now, I think there's some TSSAA stuff we got to work through, but I'd love to see there's some really talented kids in Middle Tennessee. Not all high schools can do this. Obviously, we have baseball playoffs going on. Kids are running track. Other schools have challenges that we may not have. So we're hoping to set a precedent that's good for kids, that at some point we might have other schools here, our rivals, public schools, other privates, whatever it is, kind of a one-stop shop. So when these colleges come through, they get to see them and compare the kids to one another. And really the thought behind this was less the physical stuff. And I hope people understand, the physical makeup of a prospect is only so much. It's how they do the other stuff. What type of student are they? What type of leader are they? Are they attentive to detail? Are they engaged in a drill when they're not in the drill? What's their effort, their energy like on the football field? Like, these are the things that the really good recruiters look at. So we want to provide that opportunity where they can see our kids doing those things, and we'd love to see them. We'd love for those guys to be able to come in and see CPA and BA and Pearl Cone and Cane Ridge and Clarksville or any other schools. We're hoping, I'm hopefully going to talk to the TSSAA about this summer to see if there's a way that's all legal. Nobody's gaining an advantage that can just showcase all the kids in Middle Tennessee.
Lipscomb Academy head coach Trent Dilfer is our guest here on 104.5 The Zone. Really cool things happening at Lipscomb Academy, and Trent doing a lot for high school football and for college prospects here in Middle Tennessee, and for everybody who was able to attend the Nashville Elite 11 Regional yesterday. It was so cool to watch that process, Trent. Just, I'm at Titans practice almost every day. I see how much people like Mike Vrabel and his staff value this time of year that they get with the players, phase 2, where they're just working skills. You're building the fundamentals that you will need to play your position and further workshop your craft at such a base level, even though these guys have been playing football their entire lives. To get to witness a little bit of that yesterday, heat or not, was really, really impressive to watch. I thought your staff did an exceptional job.
Yeah, they do an incredible job. 12 years ago, when I became the head coach of Elite 11, we kind of built the framework. So the analogy I give is, we built something, we laid the foundation, put up the framing, we put up the drywall, we put up all the nice amenities in the house, and over the course of time, these coaches have owned it, and they've kind of remodeled it and added better granite countertops and a better refrigerator and the espresso maker, and did an outdoor plan, so they have a covered patio and a pool. And my point is that they've really owned it. There's 12 core coaches that we hired the first 3 years, and they've taken great ownership of it and worked in conjunction with student sports to go on 9 to 14 tours a year across the country and really hopefully give these quarterbacks who are dreaming of playing at the next level and maybe beyond that the skill set to do so. And a lot of it's more than just what they learn on the field. It's how they approach the position. There's a holistic component to it, which I believe is part of football. I believe you build the soul first and the player comes, and then the skill stuff comes second. So it's been really fruitful for myself as the leader of it, but more importantly, the staff. A lot of them have launched businesses that are good for kids and good for themselves around the country where they train quarterbacks full time. It's just been a really neat, as we call it, tribe that's kind of gone around the country and hopefully positively affected quarterbacks. I mean, I think we look back at now, and I haven't got the updated numbers, but it's more than 85% of Power 5 starters have been through the Elite 11, 12 of the last 13 first quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft. I want to say it was 27 out of 32 NFL starters have been through our process. So we've had connective tissue to the best quarterbacks in the world and still keep a really tight bond with many of them.
Yeah, no, that was something that I noticed. I obviously wasn't like hovering over your guys' huddle at midfield before it began and afterwards, but just kind of, hearing a little bit of what people were talking about at the respective drills. The fraternity of it is something that seems so as valuable as anything else that comes out of this. And it was funny because I kept hearing people rattle off not random quarterback names, but names of quarterbacks as if they were going to be quizzed on it. The kids were at the respective drills. I heard Brock Osweiler. I heard Ryan Tannehill. Are they asked trivia in the middle of these drills by the coaches, or what was that I was overhearing?
Yeah, they are. We really challenge their minds throughout a camp day as much as their bodies. So they're going to be given tasks throughout the day that they have to accomplish, and then some memorization skills. And then really the goal is to learn how to compete with yourself and help the person next to you. One of the bigger lies in sports today is that you're competing against the guy that you're trying to get the job from. You're really competing against yourself. The Latin root of compete was an internal word association. So it's bring the best out of yourself. So we're trying to teach these kids, hey, go chase your best, help the guy next to you chase his best, and everything will work out well for both of you. So a lot of it is collaboration in the course of the day. You might forget the 2012 class. You write off 7 guys, and you're getting ready to be asked a question. You might have to look to the guy to your left or the guy to your right and say, help me out here. There's this big, tall, 6'7" guy from Montana. I forget his name. What's his name? Brock Osweiler. Okay. So we do a lot of fun stuff throughout the day to get these guys growing together instead of feeling like they're competing to beat each other at something. Let's be the best we can be, chase our personal best, and the rest will figure itself out.
Now, what you've just articulated there, Trent, I'm so glad that you said, because that's the thing, at least here locally, and you know how the national news cycle works when it comes to this time of year. That's exactly the kind of dialogue that I think people have misunderstood about Malik Willis, who is, of course, an alumni of the Elite 11, and Ryan Tannehill here in Tennessee, with everything that's gone through what I'm calling Mentorgate, this complete and total nonsense around Ryan Tannehill's comments. And the way that you have just articulated it, I think is so critical for people to understand, because it's so easy to get caught up in, this quarterback is threatened about his job or is being insecure, when all Ryan Tannehill does is give an honest answer about the nature of competition when it comes to the quarterback room.
Yeah, Buck, people are bored this time of year, let's be honest. Like, any soundbite in any situation throughout the NFL college football landscape is going to become clickbait.
Yeah.
I would just say this. I know Ryan Tannehill. He's one of the finer human beings in the NFL. You can think one way or another about the playoff game or what he is as a quarterback. I think that's fair for anybody to have their opinions. But Ryan's an incredible human. Malik Willis is an incredible human. They're going to be just fine. And I think in any quarterback room, you understand, like, it's a big job. I don't know if this is a great comparison, but if you're a CEO running a Fortune 500 company, you don't have a whole lot of time to have a fellow in your office that you're trying to mentor to become the next CEO. You're making shareholder decisions every single day that impact lives. And you don't necessarily have time to sit down, kick your feet up and go, hey, here's what I've done the last 3 hours. Why don't you take notes, and I'm going to teach you how to do this one day. That's kind of close to what it is in NFL, being an NFL quarterback. It's a huge, huge job. And it takes everything in your being to be good at it. Now, in the course of that, there's relationships that are built. And I truly believe that Ryan and Malik are going to have a great relationship. And within the midst of that relationship, as Ryan's trying to be a better NFL starting quarterback, if Malik takes the effort to learn from that and to be a sponge, he's going to learn a lot in that process. It doesn't mean Ryan has to be focused on, hey, I'm going to make sure I carve time out of my day and maybe sacrifice how good I could be at this position in this job to help this guy. It's like, no, I'm going to attack this with my full vigor. I'm going to invest my entire life into this. I'm making sacrifices to be great at this. And it's on him to watch and learn and ask questions and ask the why behind it. I think Malik would say the same thing. I actually think it's a really healthy relationship that's going on there with the Titans in the quarterback room, and one I only think is going to get better.
Lipscomb Academy head coach Trent Dilfer, our guest here on 104.5 The Zone. Yeah, are those the kind of messages that you were trying to impart to the Elite 11 group yesterday, Trent? Because I know you had a few minutes to hang out with them after the fact, and I wonder, how much you try to get across to them in that kind of a setting, understanding that it's not a lot of time, and these guys have just been through, about 4 hours and 20 minutes of really, really intensive is probably not the word, but drills that they need to be locked in and focused on.
Yeah, it's always hard to distill your thoughts into a few minutes and say, okay, what matters the most, right? And that's what I try to do in these settings. And I'll get more time with them in June. The finals are in Southern California, late June during our dead period here. So I'll be able to spend more time with them then and dive deeper. But really it was this. It was like, hey, guys, there's 50-something of you here today competing for an Elite 11 spot, and another 30 of you that are underclassmen. I can tell you right now, 90% of you are better than I was at this age. 90% of you are better than Josh McCown was at this age, and Josh was here yesterday. And
right.
90% of you are better than Kurt Warner, who's been an Elite 11 dad. But that's not how you're going to make it. Your talent, how you throw a football, how quick your feet are, your size, your measurables, that gives you a head start. And frankly, it may give you a longer leash when you get to college football. They're gonna allow you to make more mistakes, but it's going to be the boring, monotonous stuff. The attention to detail, the lonely stuff that nobody sees you do behind the scenes that's going to allow you to make it to the next level. And we're just here to give you a head start, like to just get you aware of those things. And for the Elite 11 guys that are rising seniors, it's like use your senior year, use the fall of your senior year to develop some skill sets within your high school team that's going to make your high school team better, but it's also going to make your college team better and give you a chance to succeed when you get there. I'll use my quarterback last year, Luther Richardson, as a great example. He was as fine a leader for us last year in our run as you could ever find. He worked harder than any human I'd ever been around. He did stuff, lonely stuff, that nobody will ever get him credit for, that only me and his parents knew he did. The lonely hours at night watching film of our opponents, or breaking down, or doing studies, or reaching out to teammates, whatever it may be. Not only did that help us accomplish our goal last year, but it's going to launch him when he goes to Cincinnati to be more prepared to compete for that job and be a great Bearcat and be a great quarterback for them. And that's kind of the messaging. It's all the stuff that's not on Instagram, it's not on Twitter, it's not on TikTok, it's not in the media. Basically, you can make it that simple. Whatever people are celebrating, that is a small part of it. It's all the other stuff they're not celebrating that's going to get you to where you ultimately want to be.
Lessons not just applicable to sports, but life as well, and people too quick to forget them. Among the guys who are advancing to the Elite 11 finals out of yesterday's regional, Trent, Avery Johnson out of Kansas. You have Brock Glenn, the Memphis quarterback, and Nico Iamaleava, who, of course, Vols fans showed up to see yesterday and to kind of get an idea of what their 2023 quarterback commit is going to look like in the orange come next fall. Nico is obviously a hugely talented prospect. Outside of the things that we know his athletic gifts are, and that you guys are looking to, kind of refine and help him refine as a part of his skill set, what can you tell Vols fans about what you observed from Nico yesterday?
Fiercely competitive. Still in the earn it phase. He's not entitled. We've run into this over 12 years. A lot of guys are celebrated so much, and they get these stars and they get these big offers, and now with NIL they get a bunch of money that a lot of them succumb to entitlement and think that they've arrived. And the ones we're really looking for are the ones that are in the earn it phase. And Nico's still in the earn it phase. He still knows he's got a lot of things to improve upon. He knows it's a big job being a quarterback in the SEC. He knows he's going to a program that's just pouring gasoline on their development. I mean, Hype and UT's done such a good job of kind of taking themselves out of the dust bowl and putting them as a national recognized program again. So he knows the gravity of the job. I think those are all things that we knew about him because we know about him from Southern California. Remember, most of us are California guys by nature, so we kind of grew up out there and cut our teeth in California football. So we've known about Nico a long time. But for Middle Tennessee in general, people that want to know about Nico, he is way more than the flash and sizzle. There's a lot of substance there.
Yeah, Long Beach Poly definitely been pumping out high-level football prospects for a long time now. Worst sunburn, you, me, or the guy who was passed out in his lawn chair on top of the motorhome yesterday?
So that was my number one thing. When I pulled up, I had to dump some stuff off at the dumpster above our football facility, and I looked down on the field and I saw him parked there. So the first thing I did was go across the field and meet him and say, "Man, you're my idol. All these years of doing this, you're the first guy I've seen roll up in the RV trailer in the Jeep with a lawn chair." And I said, "You figured this thing out." Buck, I want to say one more thing about Middle Tennessee football. It's been really, really interesting to learn. As these 65 coaches has come through, a lot of them are veteran Middle Tennessee recruiting coaches. And they said, for many years, this was not a hotbed of talent. You would find a good player, a few good players, and we know that because there's guys playing the NFL. But in general, this was not in the top 15 of areas to come to recruit the masses. And this is really a shout out to the coaches around Middle Tennessee, both public and private. What a great job they've done building their programs. We're new to the scene, right? So I'm not taking any credit for this, but now they're coming through saying, "Hey, this has become one of the top 4 to 5 spots that we come. That you can come to Middle Tennessee, and if you do your work and you go to all the different schools around here, that you're going to find as many good prospects as you will in most places around the country." I've heard Ohio, Florida, Georgia, California, Tennessee being compared to those areas. So it's really a shout out to the high school coaches in Tennessee, and what a great job they're doing building the program, the quality of football, and the quality of kid, because it's not just player. They're not just recruiting talent. They're recruiting a kid, a fit, a culture guy. And the coaches around here do a really good job at that.
I'm so happy that you brought that up, Trent, because we had Tim Banks, the Vols defensive coordinator, on last week to talk about Theo Jackson. He just got drafted here to the Titans out of Tennessee. And that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to bring up with Coach Banks is just how much improved that has become over the course of the last couple of years. I know that Josh Heupel and his staff have only been in East Tennessee for a season now, a full season now, and now an off season. But that is something that seems to be a universal sentiment. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
And what Clark's doing at Vandy, I mean, it's just the quality of kids you're looking. You can't build programs with talent. Talent is part of it. You have to build it with fit, and you have to build with the right kind of kid that fits your culture. And the good thing that I'm hearing from Clark and Hype and Stock and all these other coaches, around not just Tennessee, but you get into North Georgia, the schools there, you get into Kentucky, who's recruited us hard, and other areas around here hard. You're not just getting a talented kid. You're getting a kid that's paid his dues, that understands team football, that understands the grind and the work and the selflessness that comes behind building good programs. And that's why I'm so excited about Friday Night Lights in Tennessee in general, is because as you get more of those kids, the tide rises, every program gets better, and now Friday Night Lights just becomes that much more exciting.
Trent Dilfer, Lipscomb Academy, head coach at Dilfer Dimes is where you can follow him. The first annual college showcase at Lipscomb Academy taking place today. Trent, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you guys letting me come out there yesterday, and I hope we'll get the opportunity to chat again soon.
All right, brother. Swing on by tonight. Thanks for having me.
That's Trent Dilfer there with us on 104.5 The Zone.